Welcome, fellow lovers of the weird and strange. This is Lance, your host of Legends of the Hidden Horde, where we explore the folklore behind the mythical creatures that stalk the dark corners of our globe. A huge thank you to all of you for tuning in. Your ears make these strange journeys possible. If you enjoy the show, please hit that subscribe button, leave me a quick review, and give me a follow on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, or X. Your support truly makes a difference. Now, let's dive into the next story. Tonight we're heading into South Carolina in episode 22, The Lizard Man of Scape Swamp. In the expansive wetlands of Scape Swamp, where black water pools mirror a sky rarely seen, and cypress trees rise like the bones of forgotten giants, the land remembers. Long before roads carved through Lee County, South Carolina, and long before the name Lizard Man was spoken, indigenous peoples of the Southeast, including ancestors of the Muskogee and Catawba peoples, knew these swamps as places of profound power. Oral traditions speak of beings tied to water in wild places, guardians, shapeshifters, or warnings against those who disrespect the balance. One historical collection of southeastern Indian stories from 1929 records accounts among Creek people of human-sized lizard-like monster encounters in a similar terrain. These were not monsters in the European sense of chaos, but potential presences woven into the worldview of reciprocity with the living world. The swamps were not empty wilderness. They were sacred, watched, and alive with stories that taught respect for boundaries. The modern tale of the Lizard Man of Scape Swamp emerged in this same landscape in the summer of 1988, yet it carries echoes that feel older than the tire tracks on Browntown Road. It began on a humid night in June, when 17-year-old Christopher Davis drove home from his shift at a fast food restaurant. His tire blew near the swamp's edge. As he worked beneath the stars and the heavy drape of Spanish moss, something stirred in the darkness. A tall figure, 7 feet of green scaly hide, red eyes gleaming like embers in the dying fire, 3-fingered hands and 3-toed feet, rose from the black water. It moved with unnatural speed and purpose. Davis fled into his car. The thing pursued, clambered onto the roof, denting metal and tearing at the mirror, as if claiming a toll. Only when he braked hard did it tumble away, vanishing back into the swamp's embrace. Davis reported the encounter days later. Sheriff Truesdale and his deputies investigated with gravity. They found large 3-toed prints in the mud and casts were made. In the weeks that followed, other vehicles near the swamp bore strange damage. Bumpers ripped and seemingly chewed. Scratches deep into the paint and roof. More reports trickled in of towering reptilian forms glimpsed at the tree line. The press descended. Lizard Man became a household name. A radio station offered $1 million reward for its live capture. Hunters and the curious tramped the edges of the swamp with flashlights and guns. Yet the story was never simple. Details in Davis's account shifted across tailings. The creature's exact appearance, how far away it stood when first seen, precise damage to his car. Some whispered that on that dark night, he may have glimpsed not a monster, but a local farmer guarding his property from thieves. Startled in poor light, fear reshaping memory. Others point to the possibility of a large bear, common in the region, its form distorted by shadow and adrenaline. One man, an airman from nearby Shaw Air Force Base, claimed he shot the creature and produced evidence, only to later admit it was a hoax, meant to keep the legend burning. Later photographs and videos purporting to show the being surfaced and faded under scrutiny. No body was ever found. No definitive proof emerged beyond the casts and the conflicting stories. The entity remained as it always had, just beyond reach, present in footprints and fear, absent in flesh. The swamp itself seemed to participate in the mystery. Its waters, stained dark with tannins, hold layers of sediment and memory. Indigenous knowledge reminds us that such places were never meant for casual intrusion. When modern roads, headlights, and tire irons disturb the quiet, something ancient may have stirred. Not as a new invention, but as a reminder, wearing a contemporary mask. Lizard Man became both a local celebrity and a caution. Chrome and rubber offered no protection against what the wetlands protect. In the decades since, the legend has not died. It is celebrated in Bishopville with festivals that honor the story while the land continues its slow breathing. Occasional claims surface and recede. The creature is said by some to have been displaced or diminished by storms or development. Yet the swamp endures, and with it, the possibility that watchers remain. What then does the entity, whether born of flesh, fear, or the land's own dreaming, teach us? The lizard man of Scape or Swamp stands as a liminal guardian at the threshold between the tamed and the untamed, the known and the unknowable. It teaches humility, that our categories of real and imagined monsters and myth often fail when confronted with the living complexities of the place. It reminds us that indigenous peoples have long held sophisticated understandings of these wetlands as relational worlds filled with agency and warning, knowledge systems developed over millennia that modern society too often dismisses or romanticizes rather than learns from. The alternative tellings, the hoaxes, the misidentifications, the shifting testimonies reveal how easily fear and media can amplify a signal while obscuring its source. They caution against both credulity and cynical dismissal. The being embodies the persistence of mystery in an age that seeks to map, monetize, and master every corner of existence. It shows that when we approach without reciprocity, laying asphalt through ancestral wetlands, treating land as resources rather than relative, we may awaken forces that answer in the language of disruption. The lessons are clear. Respect boundaries, both physical and spiritual. Honor the deep history and living wisdom of the land's first stewards. Cultivate awe rather than conquest when facing the unknown. Looking forward as we alter the swamps and coastlines, as development presses harder into the remaining wild places, and as humanity grapples with technologies that further detach us from embodied presence, the lizard man's shadow lengthens. It implies a future in which forgotten or suppressed presences, ecological, cultural, or ontological, may return in forms we do not expect. Reconciliation with indigenous knowledge and sovereignty is not optional sentiment. It may be essential for navigating the uncertainties ahead. The swamps do not belong to us. We belong, if we are wise, to the larger conversation with them. The red eyes in the dark do not merely threaten, they witness. What we choose to see in them, terror to be destroyed or teacher to be heeded, will shape whether the next chapter of the story ends in silence or in renewed, respectful coexistence with the mysteries that still stalk the earth. Thank you so much for listening. I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed the story, hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast app. Give me a follow on social media. And until next time, keep your eyes open. You never know what might be lurking in the shadows.